Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Morning Shot and welcome back to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am the Sarge here with a good buddy of mine, J Mac, the very one. How are you doing, man? How was your Thanksgiving?
That was pretty great, actually. You know, lots of food, got a nap, watched football, drank beer. That's about it, right?
Hey, that's how you're supposed to do it. I mean, yeah. I mean, I went and played into the turkey ball, even though it was 2-man touch football game, but it was nice because it was all muddy because we're in the Pacific Northwest.
Right.
And I don't know how many times I slipped on that grass because I had no cleats or anything else. Probably about 5 times. So that was great. I ate turkey as well with the family, and it was good. So let's kick it off today. So today we're going to start off with the college football. Yesterday we had the Bearcats, Cincinnati Bearcats beating Eastern Carolina. What did you catch that game, J Mac?
I did not catch the whole thing. I caught parts of it. But I think the Bearcats are for real. I really do. I think that they can make some noise in the college football playoff. I think that they're a good team.
Okay, that kind of they did play a good game. It was kind of like the first quarter. I was watching a little bit of it. It was a pretty shaky start for the Bearcats on that one, even though they did win 35-13. There were some miscues on the penalties and so forth. But my question is, we have Ohio State versus Michigan. This is probably because today in college football they call it rivalry week. And if Michigan wins or beats Ohio State, what happens to Cincinnati? Do they get jumped and go back to number 5? What's your thoughts on that?
Boy, it's tough. Being from a small conference always hurts you. I don't want to say that would happen because it shouldn't happen, but the committee's kind of crazy, and so I could see it happening. I could see them going back to number 5 and missing back out again. Again, I hope that doesn't happen, but yeah, I could see it.
All right, I agree with you on that one because of course they're going to go off the strength of schedule. If that does happen, even though that the Bearcats haven't lost a game, and both of those teams, Ohio State and Michigan, already has it lost. And believe it or not, Cincinnati is one out of 3 teams in the top 25 that are undefeated. That's mind blowing. You got Georgia, Cincinnati, and I believe it's University of Texas of San Diego, the Roadrunners, which I heard quite a bit. The what?
It's University of Texas, El Paso.
Oh, El Paso, that's right. That's where our good buddy Trey Collins, he has been covering them a little bit, and he's excited. Do you think that they should expand the playoffs in the college football? Because my belief is yes, because Cincinnati reminds me of University of Central Florida when they went undefeated, and they were part of number 5, even though all the top four teams had 1 loss. What do you think college football needs to expand their playoff system?
I do. I've always been a big proponent of 8. I think that 8 is about the perfect number. I think that you would have your Power 5 conferences and you get 1 team from each Power 5, and then those last 3 are the smaller conferences, the smaller schools. You get the at-large bids from them. So I think that that's probably the most fair way to do it. And if you don't have anyone, out of your conference that is undefeated or worthy of going, then you get an at-large bid from one of the other conferences. I think that'd be fair. I think that's 8 teams is about perfect.
All right, I would agree with you. I thought I think that is a good number as well. If you believe it or not, last year Georgia played against Cincinnati. Cincinnati was ranked 8, and Georgia was ranked number 7. And Georgia, they only won it by 3. They only won it in the 4th quarter. That's why they only won the game, because in the first half of that game last year, I think it was the Peach Bowl, Georgia only scored 10 points in the first half, as Bearcats scored 14 points. And believe it or not, the Bearcats were up 21-10 in that game, and Georgia was able to squeak by with 2 touchdowns with that. And I think Cincinnati proved that they can hang with the big dogs if they need to be, especially with the SEC with that one. Sticking with college football, did you know? Have you ever followed Texas football? All right, kind of looks like we lost a little bit of J Mac right there for a little bit. But if you've ever followed Texas, the Longhorns football team, they broke like a 5-game losing streak. Why is it SEC trying to bring this team into their conference? I know they're trying to expand it and everything else, but to me, it doesn't make sense that they want to bring in winning teams. I think they're just saturating the market with that one. If J Mac, if you're back. What is your thoughts of that with the SEC expanding their football, including Texas, who have hard times finding wins?
I am not for any more expansion. I think that the conferences should stay where they are because there was talks a couple of years ago of the Pac-12 expanding and going with Texas and Oklahoma and a couple of teams becoming the Pac-16. You're just making mega conferences. It's really all about recruiting and where you can recruit to. I think the SEC is big enough. They already have 16 teams. I don't think they need to get any more teams. And the problem is that if you bring in these teams, they're not going to be able to compete with the powerhouses in the conference anyway. So you're going to get where these teams are just going to win every single year. I don't like it. I don't like it any more expansion.
I'm agree with you. We just have great minds. We just think alike with that one. Like I remember when Pac-12 was the Pac-10, then all of a sudden they got 2 new teams. I don't know who the 2 new teams are off the top of my head.
Well, it was Colorado. It was Colorado and Utah.
Oh, okay. Okay, that makes sense.
I mean, they used to be the Pac-8, and so they were the Pac-8 before that, and then they added Arizona and Arizona State that made them the Pac-10, and then they went Utah and Colorado that made them Pac-12. And I think you're getting out of the West if you go any further than that. I mean, Colorado's already far enough east as it is.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. That is definitely true. So I do want to kind of stay in the Pac-10 or 12 for a little bit right here. So I know where you live and so forth, and there's a big game today going on in the Pac-12. It is. Do you know what game it's called between the Oregon State and Oregon Ducks?
You know, there's no official title now. It's just the Oregon State game, I believe, is what they're calling it. It used to be the Civil War. They took that away. Everyone here seems to be on the bandwagon of calling it the Platypus Bowl, which I think is awesome. I think that's a great name for the bowl, for sure. And I just want to thank everyone that's up there. We got a lot of volunteers up there today, working the concessions and working crowd control. And Oregon lifted their outdoor mask mandate, so they don't have to worry about masks today, which is probably good for them for the first time all season. But I would just want to, a lot of volunteers up there not getting paid. Make sure that you're patient with them. They're doing the best they can.
All right. Yeah, you nailed it on right there. I love it how it's called a platypus ball. And I actually kind of saw a little drawing of the trophy and so forth, and it makes total sense with that one. Because a platypus, it's like a duck mixed with some furry animal and a beaver with that. So yeah. You got the duck bill and you got the beaver tail with that. So I think it ties in pretty well. And it's like one of those unique ones with that one. With that being said, who are you taking this week?
Man, it's gonna be it really is gonna be a good game. I mean, the winner goes to the is the Pac-12 North champion and goes to the Pac-12 championship against Utah. It's going to be a toss-up. I think the Ducks pull it out in the end, but I think it's going to be a good game down at the end. I think they win it by a field goal.
By field goal? Wow. I am going to say at least more than 10 points. The Ducks will win. I can't say a field goal. Even though Oregon State is up and coming as of this year, but I just don't see it this year. All right. So kind of I know we're kind of hitting the college sports right now because that's really big. That's going on. Well, last week or yesterday was like most of the bulk of the games. So the big one is I would probably say Ohio State versus Michigan. I am picking Ohio State to beat Michigan because I don't think Jim Harbaugh has a chance to beat Ohio State. What do you think? Are you on the same thought process on that one, or what's your thoughts on that game?
Yeah, so for Ultra, I'm sorry, 4K Ultra TV came out in 2012, available to households. Uh, and I say that because that means that no person has ever seen Michigan beat Ohio State in 4K TV.
Well, pretty soon I think we're at the 8Ks now. So. I guess you could say almost we're starting a new trend with the 8Ks TVs with that one. So I'm just going to have a little bit of drama in college football. I'm going to say Michigan is going to pull off the upset because they're at the big house this week with that one. So I think it's going to be that one. All right. So getting out of college football, we're going to go into a little bit of college men's basketball right here. We had Gonzaga versus UCLA, and Gonzaga pretty much, you could just say, just manhandled UCLA. Now, they played against Duke, and Duke beat them, I believe, by 3 points with that one. Do you think it's Gonzaga's year or is it somebody else's year? Because my thought process on that one, I'm not a Gonzaga fan because they've been shoved down our throats so much, how they are the underdogs and so forth, and they're number 1 seed in college, and they were number 1 seed last year, and they didn't live up to the expectations when it comes to the tournament time. Who do you have this year?
Actually, I'm not going to pick either of those teams. Here's what I'll tell you. I am a huge Connecticut Huskies fan, and we're back in the top 25 for the first time in 5 years. We had some trouble, but we have won 4 national championships. So I think us being back in the Big East for basketball is going to be huge. And I actually am going to pick my Connecticut Huskies to go all the way this year.
Oh, wow. That is a big statement right there. If you guys heard it, you heard it from J-Mac. UConn all the way. When's the last time they won it? I was in Colorado visiting somebody when they actually won the tournament.
Yeah, 2000. What was it? 2013. It was Kimball Walker's last year in college basketball.
Oh, okay. Alrighty. All right. So enough of the college sports. Let's go into the pro sports. Of course, we watched the football games on that one. What game did you enjoy watching the most? I know one was kind of boring, and I tried to make a future bet on that one. But what game excited you? Because I have to say the Dallas and Raider game was pretty exciting to watch. What was your favorite game to watch on Thursday?
I mean, I did watch both the Lions and the Bears game and the Cowboys and Raiders game. I didn't catch the nightcap. I was unfortunately driving back home during that time, so I didn't catch that game. But of the two, I mean, the Cowboys and the Raiders. How can you go wrong with that game? It was 38.5 million people watched that game, which is the most watched regular season game since 1990. So that's a pretty exciting game. It just means to me that everyone this year was kind of done with all the COVID stuff, and they're like, we're gonna go spend time with our family, and we're gonna turn football on, and we're gonna get back to American traditions like we should have done last year. But this year, everyone did it, and they made a huge statement. So.
All right. So I'm hearing some chance of MVP for a quarterback. I don't know if you agree with it with Derek Carr for the Las Vegas Raiders. He's getting a chance for MVP. He's on pace having his best career year as of yet. Right now, he leads the league with passing yards at 3,400. Right there, averaging a career high 8.3 yards. And right now he's sitting at 17 touchdowns versus 9 interceptions. Do you think he has a chance? Could he be in the MVP voting on your stance? What's your take with that?
I mean, if he finally gets the Raiders over the hump, gets them to a winning record, gets them in the playoffs, and wins a playoff game, sure. But the problem with with Las Vegas is their MO the last few years has been start out strong and then fade in the end. And I think they got to get over that before we can be talking about MVP for anything.
Alrighty. So with that, last year he was actually in the top three MVP voting before he got injured. Then all of a sudden he got injured. The Raiders started to like fail. Then all of a sudden the fans were asking to replace Derek Carr, even though he was like in the top 5 categories in all the MVP votings with that one. And also with the Raiders defense last year or offense last year, they were in every single top 10 category in every single category of the offensive line. It was their defense that kind of struggled with that one. I believe that Derek Carr should be an MVP candidate. Should he be the MVP? No, I think he can do a little bit better with that. But with Darren Waller going down, that's going to be a little bit tough with that. And that kind of hurt my fantasy over the weekend with that one. So I believe that he could be in the MVP candidate this year. That's my take on that one. So,
well, by the way, speaking of fantasy, real quick, I just want to tell you that I'm going for 12-0 this week in our league, and I have to say that it kind of helps when you have the Raiders kicker and he kicks 5 field goals and scores 21 points for you in fantasy as your kicker. That's going to help your week.
That is true. That is true. I had the I don't know my other leagues. I had the Washington kicker, and 1 week he got me 24 points, just him alone with that one. And I cannot talk about our fantasy because I'm 4-7 in that one. So being in those big leagues, I don't know who some of these players are. So I'm just like hurting for people. So there's that one right there. So do you see anything big coming up this week or tomorrow for the NFL? We have a few games going on. I believe one of the biggest ones is Tampa Bay versus Indianapolis, and I think Indianapolis is up and coming right now, and they will beat Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What game are you looking for this week?
Actually, I think a big game this week is Cleveland against Baltimore. I think that's a huge game this weekend. I think it's a must-win for both teams to keep. More for Cleveland, I get, but I think that if Cleveland beats Baltimore, it puts them right back in the race to win the division. So, it's a big game. It's a big game in the AFC North as far as that's concerned. So that'll be a game to look forward to. But I'm with you on the Colts. The Colts are an up-and-coming team because they have a guy named Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor is the guy is playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
5 touchdowns last week. So I was the top scoring fantasy team last week, and the person I was playing against was the second top scoring team in the fantasy league last week, and they lost because they were playing against me and Jonathan Taylor. So that's
he's a stud this year. I mean, let's put him in an MVP candidate race.
Right?
Like, no, let's take Derek Carr out. I don't want to retake that comment. Let's put Jonathan Taylor back in. I want to put him in there for what he has done for the Colts. Like I think he's a whole offense for that team. He's like that dual running back with that one. And the Colts also have another running back as the name is Hines, who can actually do a lot of damage as well, which I'm surprised they don't use him as much.
Me too, but and you were saying about beating Tampa Bay. I mean, what's the formula to beat a great quarterback? Think about it. What's the formula to beat Brady and Rodgers and all those guys at the top? Keep them off the field. And when you have a guy like Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines in your backfield, you got the perfect formula to just run it all day long, take time off the clock, don't give them a chance, don't give Brady a chance to have the ball. That's the formula to beat. That's what Washington did. I mean, they kept them off the field, didn't give them the chances. That's the formula to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So,
well, I know Chris is watching on the behind the scenes right now. I was going to say just put them on the Dallas Cowboys team and you keep them off the field that way. But that's me right there. So,
by the way, I want to say that I called something on the Four Bros before the season started. Okay. I said that Elliott would be traded before the end of the season. Now, there was a report out yesterday that said the Dallas Cowboys are taking calls about the availability of Ezekiel Elliott because of the up and coming Tony Pollard on their team. So I called this before the season started that they would be dumping Elliott before the end of the season.
Yeah, I was actually watching that game, and I probably saw Pollard more than Ezekiel. Ezekiel's more of that power back you got there. Pollard is that speedster. So they kind of have that thunder and lightning effect. What Tennessee used to have back in the day when they had Chris Johnson and I can't remember his first name, but White.
Yep.
If you could, yeah, he's from the USC with that one. So that's how I kind of see it. But just looking at the stats, I think Pollard is probably their true RB1 with that one. And Ezekiel, I think he has faded into the limelight. I don't think he is the back that people think that he was going to be. I don't see it. I've never seen it since he became into the league with that one. So, thank you, Adam. Lindell White. That's what I was thinking of. I couldn't remember his first name with there, but I got his last name on that one. So let's transition more from the NFL to a little bit of Major League Baseball, because the Mets are making a little bit of noise so far this season. They got Starling Marte, Edro Cosper, and Mark Canhana. Who do you think that the Mets are making a mistake with their signings? Because I really don't think these signings will help them get into the playoffs with that. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are it's the Mets, and I am not the guy to talk to about the Mets if you want me something good. Because what they're doing is they're trying to chase the World Series champion Atlanta Braves. That feels so good to say, by the way. And they're trying to chase them, but the problem is they have really nobody outside. They got a couple good pitchers, but I mean, they're not doing it the right way. And they don't have any power outside of oh man, his name escaped me. Pete Alonso is really their power guy in their lineup. They're not bringing any more power. Marte's a good player, but he doesn't have power. He's a speed guy. They already have that in Francisco Lindor. So I don't know that they're building the right way. I think they need a solid bullpen and a couple more starters.
All right. Also, they made the front office actually made headlines as well as the owner of the Mets, Stephen Cohen. He's not happy with what the Toronto Blue Jays pitcher Steven Matt's agent calling unprofessional behavior with that one. It's pretty much saying that Matz was supposed to come over to the Mets, but now Matz is actually signing with the Cardinals. My take on that one really quick is it's business. That's where I take on that one. It's business. Who cares? There's plenty of free agents out there and trades you could probably make with that one. So Mets,
it's the world we live in where they're like, he hurt my feelings because he said he was and he didn't.
Yeah, true. And the Mets front office, they have been pretty interesting the last few years with everything that's been going on with the front office and so forth. And they're just all over the place. I can't stand the Mets anymore because of everything that's been going on. It's a clown show. That's where I have to put it. The Mets are a clown show. So with that, we're almost out of time here. Let's jump in a little bit of the NBA right here. Have you been watching any of the NBA this season?
No, I'm a Spurs fan, and we got voted the least exciting team to watch in the NBA. We did beat the Celtics last night, though, so I mean that does give us something. But we're definitely in a rebuilding stage now. So,
all right, I have to disagree with the least entertaining. Look at the Houston Rockets; they're 2-16. Look at the Minnesota Timberwolves. Actually, they're almost at a 500 ball club with that. They're and so forth. So, that's where I'm at on the NBA. I haven't watched much of it this season.
Also, the one thing I'll say about the NBA is I'm glad they're finally not making LeBron untouchable anymore.
He just has to touch himself, and he gets it. So,
He got suspended and fined all in the same week. I think it's pretty awesome, to be honest.
well, you heard what he said about this suspension, correct?
Yeah. I listen. I try not to listen to LeBron, but
Yeah, I was trying to not listen to it. Then I was listening to like a sports show here in the Pacific Northwest, and they're saying that contact that happened on during that game against the or not the Pistons. Was it the Pistons or the Clippers? Where he elbowed a guy in the face. I don't remember,
Detroit.
but Detroit. Yep. So yeah, from everything I've heard on like sports media and stuff, they're saying it's all accidental. What accident or not, it happened. We had another Rumble in the Palace, and Adam, if you're still watching, I mean that was like round 2 in the Palace right there for you. Almost round 2, I guess. It was a pre-fight, but you know what, LeBron, this is my morning shot right here. He is a professional athlete, and he is like people know him because if you talk about the NBA as of today, people will say, "Oh, LeBron James," and so forth with that. But so many kids look up to him, and he does all this like gestures and what he says on media. People are watching, and people are going to start to mimic you, especially young kids whose minds are still developing and soaking as a sponge. I mean, come on, man. I'm going to say that. Be better. Be professional. Do that on your own time. That's my morning shot with that one. What's your morning shot?
My morning shot is Ohio State beats Michigan once again.
Okay.
Jim Harbaugh is released of his contract as the Michigan head coach before the end of the season.
Oh, before the end of the season.
Yep.
Okay. Well, speaking of that, Lincoln, the coach for the Oklahoma, he's now the coach of LSU.
Yep.
Do you have any thoughts? I don't.
Not really. I don't think it's all about your recruiting, and you got to know when these new coaches come in, their recruiting class isn't going to be in for 2 or 3 years. So he's still playing with kids that another coach recruited in. So that's why it takes a couple of years for the transition. So let's keep that in mind.
Oh, yeah, that's true. But knowing him, they're going to be relevant for like the first 10 weeks of college football, then just fall off the face of the earth, just like Oklahoma. That's my take. So with that, I'm here with the JMac. I am the Sarge. Thank you for watching the morning shot. Just share the video, like it. I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you guys next week. Chris, can you roll us out?